Hello there. You just turned on a cool alternative story on Naruto. I wish you a pleasant listening. I hope for your support with donations. Unfortunately, there is no monetization on YouTube right now. Link in the description. Thank you. Bitch, yes, that's the first thing I wanted to say, while I was flying from a great height, with my back to the ground. If you do not take any action, it will not be a very soft landing. Earthen Dome Technique. It is very difficult to fold seals during the flight, but years of training have taught us something else. I found myself inside an earthen sphere. This is one of my best defense techniques. In my life, I have found myself safe so many times thanks to this technique that it is impossible to count. And even more remarkable is that I created it myself. It's better to be alone and protected than with someone and defenseless. I have learned this lesson forever. It's possible to be nostalgic for a long time, but I'm about to collide with the earth. Yes, the blow was not weak. The sphere collapsed, and I found myself inside a crater that was formed because of me. It's better not to do that with my condition, but there was no other way out. Although it was possible not to drop me from such a height. But it's not my fault anymore. Still lying down, I performed an internal diagnosis and realized that 3 ribs, the left arm, and 2 places of the right leg were broken. These injuries are not terrible to me. With the QB chakra, I can safely cure everything, so I'm starting regeneration. The most serious injury was a hole in the chest from a Chidori and a blade with Fuin seals of a mushroom Uchiha. But I also did not remain in debt. I am sure that people do not live long with a shattered skull, even if they are the reincarnation of the ancestor of ninjutsu. Nothing, I will heal these injuries too, it will just take a little more time. And scratches from kunai and shurikens will heal in a second. Only they have to be taken out of my body, otherwise there is so much iron in it that I look more like a hedgehog than a god. Yes, I think that with my powers I can safely call myself God. I'm modesty itself, haha. But on the other hand, I'm a fool. It was necessary to make more efforts so that our battle with Sasuke did not begin. So, something really took me away. We have to get up. It's hard, but what can I do? I grunt and slowly get up on, thank all the gods, more or less healed legs. There are unpleasant sensations, but this is not fatal. Now I need to find out where I am so, this is the forest, these are the mountains, and this is now I have a stupor. In front of me is team number 7. Hatake Kakashi, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruna Sakura, and I at the age of 12. Unexpectedly, judging by their shock, I can safely say that they are no less surprised than me. Of course, it's not every day that a stranger falls from the sky. Who looks like a barely alive carcass with kunai and shurikens all over the surface of the body, and then calmly gets up, and starts looking around as if nothing had happened. If I see Team 7, it means that I'm in Kano. I wanted to go to a slightly different place, preferably as far away from her as possible, so that I had time to think about everything and create a plan. But Rikuta decided to do otherwise. It looks like the team had a training session, because the children don't look very good. Dirty, bruised, and out of breath. This is strange, because, as I remember, Kakashi did not conduct training in Kano. There were several lessons, the essence of which was to tell the theory, and wish us good luck in mastering the practice. It looks like I got into the day of testing our abilities. I'm getting angrier, Rikuta. Why exactly at this time it was possible to send me back in time on my birthday? Or Naruto? Just super. What should I tell them? Hi, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I went back in time because I destroyed the world. After such a story, they will immediately send me to the doctors, or even better, they will execute me. We have to get out of it. Hello, yes, that's all I could squeeze out. It was hard to think over the phrase longer, fatigue from treatment rolled over. Naruto also came into my field of vision. Now he looks like an ordinary, noisy, restless child, but only I know his current feelings, and what they will lead to. I have to do everything so that he doesn't make mistakes from my past. What kind of past, you ask? And I will answer, the Fourth World Shinobi War, unleashed by me, which, as you may have guessed, led to the end of the world. No, living with all the people in an ideal world was my dream, which I almost achieved. By my actions to create such a world, I simply destroyed all living things. I was left alone in the whole wide world. Everywhere I looked, there was scorched earth, the corpses of shinobi, rats and scavengers. A little later, I found out that I was wrong. Survived Sasuke's sneeze. Yes, the one who is now hammering and drilling me with his gaze, trying to red me. Sasuke and I fought for a long time then. Day after day, night after night, our battle was fought, but the result was sad, we both lost. It can't be called anyone's. I lost because he was able to punch my Chidoriya chest. If I had stayed in my world, I would have been sure that I would die, because we both spent our reserve for our fight. He lost because I managed to use Rasengan and shatter his head, destroying the newly obtained Renyugan and Sharingan, which he was proud of all his life. It turns out that there is no one left. Everyone died there was nothing left alive. It is very sad, although at the time of the war, I was under very competent manipulation. Don't take this as an excuse, but those were difficult times. Who are you, Databai? We just wanted to go to Ichiroku and celebrate our victory over Kakashi-sensei, and here you are. Naruto pulled me out of the past. I even hung up. I guessed that I got caught while completing a task from Kakashi, but they were able to defeat him. The second thing that caused me a small feeling of nostalgia was a phrase from my childhood. When I was the youngest, I inserted it wherever I got. Looking at the little me from the side, it becomes uncomfortable. I know what awaits him in the future, and I must do everything I can to prevent him from getting on the slippery slope that I once entered. Because I have already said this. Naruto is an idiot. We didn't defeat Kakashi-sensei, but guessed to work in a team as he wanted. And then from the second time, asshole, Sakura in her repertoire, yelled at Naruto, and hit. It's unfair, especially considering that she didn't guess the essence of Kakashi's test. This was understood only by Sasuke, who fed me lunch after our first failure. Anyway, that's how I remember our test, and Sakura didn't do anything to win. And he withdrew into himself again. So I only aroused more suspicion from everyone. Kakashi had already removed the Iro manga and casually reached for the bandage. I have to answer the guy's question, and I have been silent for a long time, but I hope that my silence will be attributed to the shock of injuries. I'm sure they will ask about injuries. And I pray to all the gods that people from the interrogation department are asking me, and not members of the root. I'm Min Mazunami. I understand that you have a training session, but could you help me? I feel terrible and have no idea where I am. I can't remember how I got here. For persuasiveness, he sat down on the ground and put his hand on his forehead, pretending to have a headache. It's possible that it looks strange, because I'm not suffering from a cold weapon in my body, but a migraine. Ha, I'm really a good actor. Of course, Databe, you're going to feel terrible. You appeared in the sky and started falling. Actually, we didn't notice when you started falling. We paid attention only to the technique that appeared in the sky. He tells it as if falling uncontrollably is very cool. No, it's not. He's been silent for a long time. Ah, that's clear. An idiotic smile, bright eyes, hands joined in a lock, will ask to teach the technique. Teach me this thing you did, Databaya. I catch an interested look from Sneezy. Of course, he wants to learn more about the technique with which he can kill his brother. Itachi Uchiha was a good person who, like me, was manipulated and confused in himself. And he is also an incredibly strong shinobi, and if he were at war, there could be a different outcome of the battle. This is a personal technique invented by me. I won't share it. I look towards Uchiha with no one. Let him know that I do not intend to sponsor the murder of his brother. As for the technique, I cheated a little. It was used by another person, however, his ball was made of sand. It is dangerous and can lead to such consequences. It's not true, but I can calmly come up with a competent story about how I ended up in the sky. We should give you medical help, finally, Kakashi. Thank you for giving them a hint, otherwise I would have been sitting there answering the Genin's questions. Team number 7 started fussing, and finally helped me. Sakura wanted to pull the iron stars out of me, but Kakashi stopped her in time. God, thank you again. If Haruna started pulling weapons out of my body, I would lose a lot of blood, and I don't need that. I won't die, but I would recover for a long time. And in general, I don't understand who uses shurikens, and why, if there are kunai, which, although not much better, are more useful. This weapon will scratch the maximum, it is not capable of more, and you can cut your throat with a kunai from the back. But this is not my style. So, why should one tire scratch another, when you can drown him under a giant wave? Bury him alive with the help of earth techniques and so on. Perhaps this is a tribute to the traditions when our ancestors fought with what they had. And again, I philosophize the influence of my past actions. It is immediately clear that Sakura, the future Ryanin, did everything carefully, gave clear orders to the guys to bring bandages, and told me that after treating the wounds, she would take me immediately to the hospital, where I would receive qualified help. It's nice that she takes care of me. I only remember Sakura, who loved to beat me. And Sakura, who was killed by Madara. Bad memories again, and all because of my ego. My team and I will take you to the hospital, after which I will ask you to answer a few questions. Kakashi smiled with his eye the way only he can. I remember how I tried to understand Sensei's emotions for the first weeks, because everything except one eye, which expressed all the emotions of this person, was hidden behind a cloth mask. In general, I don't understand why he wears it. His face is beautiful. If he were without a mask, he would have a lot of fans. Maybe the fear of female fans was the reason for wearing a mask. Jiaonan tried to make his voice as friendly as possible, but I could hear a note of excitement. He seemed to be worried about the safety of his team. Also, I did not ignore his demands for answers to questions. I hope that I will not be sent to the root cellars, but simply interrogated by Ibika, especially since I interact well with the mind. Everything that I need to hide will be hidden, and what should be open to brainwashers will be open. I don't need any extra problems. All right. We moved towards the hospital. What can I sum up? I met with Rikuta Sanin, had a meaningful conversation with him, he gave me a second chance, and sent me back to correct my sins. And here I am. An interesting start, but what happens next? Note to the part. The first chapter has gone. Don't worry if you don't understand. This is still the first chapter, and everything will be revealed further with the passage of time. It will be nice to read reviews. See you soon. Note to the part, what is happiness in the way of life? Where does your duty tell you to go? Do not know enemies, do not measure obstacles, love, hope and believe. Apollo Makov. Chapter 2. Let the adventures begin. It's terribly stuffy. It would be quite possible to make a window in this little room, so as not to torment the people who are here. After all, I haven't done anything yet without conviction. So that I have to answer the same tedious questions from time to time from the person who is in charge of the interrogation. Yes, I ended up in the interrogation department in Kano. It was quite expected, who in general would let go of a man who fell from the sky on them in peace in the place of the village. That is why during the trip to the hospital for treatment there, I thought about the questions that I would ask a person if he were in my place. But reasoning over the answers took more time. My entire plan, which I had already managed to come up with, albeit hastily, depended on the outcome of the interrogation. I will think it over in more detail, as there will be time, but in the meantime, we must try not to depart from it, and not do anything that could interfere. In short, my plan is to take care of the younger version of myself, so that he does not drown in lies and omissions of various scum, as happened to me. There's no way I'm going to let him destroy the world, the plan is not perfect, I know. But on the other hand, I didn't have much time before the interrogation. It will do for the first time, but it will have to be very dreary to refine it. With the help of the Q chakra, I am being treated quite quickly, and there was less and less time. So I spent at most 30 minutes in the hospital, where the Ironins pulled out all the throwing weapons from me. And with the help of Shosen, they closed the wounds so that I would not die from blood loss. Although for me, this is one of the most impossible deaths thanks to the same nine-tailed. When the doctors wanted to examine me completely, I hastily abandoned this dubious idea. They would obviously have questions for me about how I live with such a deep chest wound, and this is not taking into account that it no longer looks as terrible as when I landed. You never know what could have come into the head of the doctors, and they would have decided to find out why on earth I can't. With this whole generally alive. I certainly don't need that. After leaving the hospital, I said goodbye to Kakashi's team. Emotions of each member were different. Naruto puffed out his cheeks, it seems that he was offended because I refused to teach him personal technique. Sasuke made a face with a brick, his usual condition. In front of other people, but I know that inside he was dissatisfied with me, and, like Naruto, resented me because of the refusal. Sakura looked puzzled. I'm sure she thought that, with such injuries, I would not be released from the hospital for at least a week. And here I come out, completely healthy in such a short time, and in a black raincoat, which I did not have at the entrance. I won't dissemble, I stole it. I need it more, and since the owner of the raincoat left it at the entrance, it means that he didn't really use it. Kakashi looked as usual, standing relaxed and reading Iro manga. But after spending a lot of time with him, I know that he is not as calm as it may seem. He didn't turn the page, so he was following me without attracting attention to himself. He's suspicious of me, that's obvious. It would be strange if there were no questions after such an epic appearance. Most likely, they were confirmed after my trip to the hospital. He thought I was a spy. It is unlikely that then he would have immediately reported this to the Hokage. And I would have been tied up until the moment I received medical care. And the Anbu met me after Team 7 and I parted, if not before. So what did Kakasha think? The sea on Ibik pulled me out of my thoughts. I'm going to ask you again who you are and how you got into Konoha through a special barrier. I have already answered this question 1,000 times. I understand that he wants to crack me, but he will not succeed. I've been through a lot of interrogation and torture training. I know how to act so that a person can't stand it and starts telling the whole truth himself, what he knows. Therefore, I will act differently. I'm in Mazunami. I remember going to buy dango, and after that I ate it. It was, by the way, cooked perfectly. The syrup was really amazing, moderately sweet, without any frills. Then I met my friend. We went to a bar and drank a few glasses of sake. Did you know that sake is a delicious hot drink if it is brought by no less hot girls? We had a good rest and went on walking through the streets. Oh, I also remember a small shop with accessories for Fuin seals. These accessories were sold by a kind grandfather. He likes to smoke so much that when we went into his shop, we first smelled tobacco and then ink. Then we had to go to my friend's shop to buy ointment for pain. Recently, my chest has started to hurt. I even gently rubbed the area of the heart, feigning a sigh. Stop talking my teeth out. Ibika has a strong blow, firm which a crack went on the table, and a low voice full of dissatisfaction, which was heard throughout the interrogation department. That's how I got it. I stick to my tactics of parrying the question. I bring in some of the information they need, but I cover it with a huge layer of unnecessary. For example, I told him who I am, that I know how to create Fuin seals, I know some information about their current hokage. Calling him a smoking grandfather. Will they understand? Or have I overdone it? For me it's all a game, but for them it's a real interrogation. With an attempt to find out the information they need, and they seem to ignore it. It's even a shame somehow that all my efforts are down the drain. I ask you again, how did you, Minmal Tsunami, get into Konoha? I already told you, my friend and I went to the training ground in the late afternoon. I came up with a new technique and wanted to practice it. Something went wrong, and that's it. Landing, some children, you were hospitalized. And I don't know anything about the barrier. Maybe you can tell me about him. I got closer, looking straight into his eyes, making the most naive and curious look. You know, if you continue to play with me, then another person will communicate with you. He'll get into your mind and find everything we need. We will know everything about you and pray to all the gods that after a fascinating journey through your mind, you will not be killed right here. Do you have any idea what you've done? Illegally entered the territory of the great village. We can execute you right here as a spy, and if it turns out that you work for some village or organization, it can serve as a new war. No one needs it, so just answer my questions, and you'll be free. Agreed. He threatens me to the Yamanaka clans. Their actions don't scare me at all. I know many ways to reflect the penetration into the mind. I have techniques in my arsenal, thanks to which I can hide information from people in my mind. On the other hand, I don't want other people to dig into my head, it's very unpleasant. There is too much information not for the eyes of others. Will I be able to hide everything superfluous at once? It's not the first time I've been interrogated. Okay, I understand that you are unhappy with my answers. I would be indignant too if I were you, but that's really all I remember. Who are you? Is he kidding? I've answered him a million times. I'm getting bored. Minma Uzunami answers him completely seriously, showing that I'm tired of putting on a show. How did you get to Konoha? Don't lie to me, I feel the lie, he lets his threatening key. It was unpleasant, even a chill went through my body. I haven't experienced such feelings for a long time. Ibiki knows how to make an impression. I repeat, dear Shinobi-san, in the course of creating a new technique, I seem to have applied the wrong seal, which caused the release of the chakra. Because of this, I teleported to another place. This place turned out to be Konoha. I think I didn't get into Konoha by accident. I was going to move here soon and become the shinobi of this village. Well, Morina, don't you catch the lie. I know how to recognize it. You used the technique of enhanced hearing, your personal technique, I know for sure. You can hear my heartbeat. It's not getting faster, so I'm not lying, I'm talking calmly, my mouth is not dry, I'm not asking for water. This is ordinary observation. If I were lying, it would be hard to talk because of the dry mouth. I don't tap my fingers convulsively, which means I'm confident in my answers and don't invent them on the go. You can try to get to the truth, but all you can find is the truth, which I will present to you, after a little thought. And Biki wrote something in the form. He believed me, it's a victory. Moved to Konoha, you say, and where did you live before that? How long has he been conducting this interrogation? I have a lot of things to do today, and he's so interested in where I'm from. I have one village in mind. When Jiraiya and I went to train for 3 years, it was the first place where we had a rest. I want that time back. I've done so many terrible things that I'm sick of myself. If Jiraiya found out what happened after his death, how would he react? Disappointed, kept silent, scolded, I don't know, but the toads reacted sharply. They broke the contract with me, thereby saying to the whole conscription world that I am a person who is not worthy of being a contractor. In other words, after the contract is broken by the draft animals, the shinobi can no longer conclude a contract. With no one and forever. It's sad of course, but it doesn't matter. Kamau Rice Village. Lost in a lie. Interesting name. Ironically, it was the first village. But it's worth saying that the people lived there were good. I remember how one grandmother cooked me ramen, because for her I looked really skinny. And on the way back, we found only an ash leaf, which was nailed to the only unburned pillar. This village of deceivers and liars was written on the sheet. Each of its inhabitants was executed for deceiving the daimyo. They broke the laws, but I didn't have time to read further. Jiraiya tore off this sheet and crumpled it up. We spent another day to bury people and rest their souls. Were they really to blame for this? What kind of technique did you create? He rubbed his chin and stared at me intently. You're using the technique again. She won't help you, I'll easily fool you. The earthen dome technique, created it for protection, wanted to improve it. Here's the outcome. So did you want to create a technique or improve it? I want to hit myself on the forehead. I made a stupid mistake. First I say that I create a technique, and then I improve it. How could you be so wrong and confused in your words? We need to get out of it. At the moment he needs to be sure that I'm not lying, but he may already begin to suspect. This cannot be allowed. I would say I wanted to improve, but doesn't improving something make it new? I smile in his face. I need to show that I'm not worried and confident in my words. He writes it down in the form again. Everything new is well forgotten old. I'm going to ask you one last question. It's key again. I understand that he is trying to crush me with his authority and shows strength in order to scare me, but such a person is not terrible for me. The Sion Ibit clasped his hands in a lock and put his elbows on the table. After that, he leaned towards me, gazing intently into my eyes, and asked his last question. Why do you want to become a shinobi, specifically Kano? A carrier or a stone? It's quite simple. Konoha is better developed than all other great villages. I also respect its history and hokage, who have done a lot for the existence of this village. The stories about the great master Makoten, the master of water techniques, the professor, and the yellow lightning Konoha cause me awe. So I also want to do everything possible to continue the existence of this village and protect the people living in it. What nonsense. I want to live in Kano just to see Naruto as often as possible and guide him on the right path. It would be stupid to sit on the sidelines, see where the world is going, and not give a damn about it. All this trepidation about the previous Hokage is just dust in the eyes. Dust, which caused an unexpectedly positive response from Ibiki. He wrote something on the form and stressed, was I really able to say such a patriotic thing, that even he got into it? Even though he didn't show it. That's it. You are free, you can go, you will be escorted to the exit, and then you will go to this address. There is a civilian dormitory there. You will live there until Hokage solves the issue with you. I'm free, hooray. Everything is going as I planned, just fine. After a 20-minute walk through the village, I came to the place that was written to me on a piece of paper. I'll tell you, I expected the worst. This civilian dormitory was the place where I lived all my childhood. Emda, what a surprise. It's easy to guess that Naruto also lives here. It would be better for me to look after him more easily, even though it would cause a lot of problems. He is too hyperactive and cannot be in one place for more than 10 minutes. I'll have to find him something to do. Okay, maybe I'll figure something out. The apartment was allocated on the 4th floor, like Naruto's, and she herself was located, yes, next to the same Naruto. Now we are neighbors, at least until Hokage decides to put me in another place, which I doubt very much. There are a lot of people in the village, everyone needs a roof over their heads. And, as it may seem, places of residence should be given in equal quantity and quality to both civilians and shinobi. But that was not the case. Ninja is a combat unit of the village. They should have good apartments, they receive more benefits and pensions. This is all easily explained. If shinobi does not have decent living conditions, then he will not have the desire to defend his place. And may even leave the village altogether in search of a better life. That is why people are leaving the fog, because now it is impossible to exist there. You can only survive there, whereas in Kanoka everything is fine, and people are drawn here like a magnet. Okay, enough philosophy. I enter the apartment and see a small but cozy space. There is a toilet, a small refrigerator, a bed, a desk and a chair, a wardrobe and other things. In principle, there is everything for life, but nothing beyond that. I'm no stranger to it, because I've already lived in a similar apartment for about 8 years. Of the things I have nothing with me. Just that I'm wearing a stolen raincoat, a mesh tank top to black pants with sandals. There could have been a belt bag with several kunai and combat pills, but it was taken from me before the interrogation. And was not returned. It's not scary, a little later, I'll walk around the village and buy all the things I need, but before that, cleaning. But I can't stay in an apartment where someone was before me. If it was allocated to me, then it is mine, and I am responsible for it. albeit for a while. The apartment is the owner's face, so I take a mop that was resting in the closet, fill a bucket with tap water, add soap forgotten by past owners, and start cleaning. Well, patience and work will grind everything, let's go. It took me about half an hour to clean the apartment. It could have taken more if the previous tenants had not been so neat and tidy. Although who knows the true reasons, maybe civilians need to pay for the mess in a rented apartment, but I, as a child, littered in my apartment so that there was no clean place at all. But for this I can thank the kind grandfather Hokage, who in fact turned out to be the schemer, who appropriated all my money for himself. Nothing, then I took full revenge on him, but now he is just the ruler of the village, who took pity and found a place for me in the village. I will punish him later when he stumbles. That's right, I had to go to Hokage to solve one very important one. Question. On the other hand, the plans included a meeting with Naruto to find out how he was doing in general and what goals he had, so that if anything, he could carefully tell him what to do and what not to do. He doesn't seem to be doing anything yet, but it would be better to keep an eye on him. To go far to Hiruzen, Naruto is closer, literally for the wall, so I go to him. Maybe you should take something with you like goodies. Oh yes, I'm without money, and the only normal clothes that don't look like a rag are stolen coats. I was even ashamed that I, Naruto Uzumaki, who instilled fear in people's hearts, was a horror and a nightmare for them. Could arrange coverage. Demonstrative executions, so that I would be feared and respected, became a beggar unpleasant. On the other hand, I can earn some money with the help of my knowledge. Fuin printing is my hobby, but it brings me unprecedented pleasure. I know a lot of seals that were invented by the Uzumaki clan, and also have my own seals. One of them is a Fuin seal codenamed Litterin. The essence of this seal is very simple. Thanks to her, I can change my appearance, works like a hingy, but my hingy is not so easy to dispel. In order for the technique to work, it is necessary to attach a seal to any part of the body. Before that, you need to draw special characters, lines on the seal itself. Thanks to them, the image that I need will be formed. Fuin, like ninjutsu steijutsu, has its own language. It is a strict sequence of character lines, a special size, length, sequence, etc. If something gets mixed up, there may be a misunderstanding. Here you are writing a seal, but the line curved in the wrong direction, and voila! An explosive seal of instant action, and minus a limb, if not a life. That is why there are very few masters of Fuin printing. Someone does not take risks, and those who take risks die because of the haste of training and illiteracy. Who can teach this properly at all, if the Fuin masters have sunk into oblivion, along with the Uzumaki village? As for dispelling the image, you just need to remove the seal from the body, and then the image will instantly disappear, leaving no trace. Another feature of this seal is that it can be drawn not with ink, but with your own blood. After extracting the blood, and finding the paper on the table that was left against, past tenants have drawn the necessary symbols. Then I'll replace the paper with another one. Now it is very important for me to have a different appearance. I'm gluing the seal on my right shoulder, and now the most important thing is the image. So far, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. It is necessary to hide all external signs by which it would be possible to identify Naruto and me. First of all, the lines on the cheeks disappear. Then the hair becomes scarlet, like that of purebred Uzumaki. Before that, my hair was covered in soot and dirt, so it's unlikely that anyone saw that it was wheat-colored, not red. I'll leave my eyes blue, I really like them, and various grannies liked to compliment me about my eyes. Until they found out that I'm a Jinchuriki, I changed my hairstyle a little, the position of my eyes, the density of my eyebrows. My nose has become slightly crooked, my eyelashes have become longer. Now I am Min Mazunami, a man who exists to prevent the last shinobi war and save the world from itself. Dachshund, I've caught up with myself. I need to go and deal with urgent matters as soon as possible. I leave the apartment, which was assigned number 13. I don't believe in all this magic of numbers, but an unpleasant feeling appeared. Given that the younger version lives in apartment number 10. Apartment number birthday. That is, an unpleasant day for him. After all, on his birthday, such a clean and bright holiday, when they give gifts and wish him health, happiness, and a more expensive mission, they always wanted him to die somewhere in a ditch. This was said by both adults who should set an example to the children, and children who simply repeated after their parents, humiliating him. Okay, all the past will remain in the past. Although I am in the past, it means I am complicated. There is too much to think about, and I have no desire to talk about such a topic at all. Insert the key, scroll until it clicks, pull out the key. Done? And now, Naruto, receive guests. I turn my head to the left and see the apartment, and there are two numbers 1 and 0 on it. I wonder who arranged the apartment numbers like that. I would shove his crooked hands up his ass for such a distribution of numbers and force him to use a technique with a huge number of seals. Wait, I'm too wound up, it's just a number. Pef, well, big deal, the numbers are made in the fuck understand what order. The main thing is I know the number of my and Naruto apartments. The rest doesn't matter. With a calm step, I approach the door of the young genin and knock. Then I knock again, and there is zero reaction. I have to knock harder, and finally the door of this casket opens. In front of me is the same child that I saw when I landed, only now he looked very annoyed. Why did I distract him? Hey man. I've been checking in next to you, I wanted to get to know you. Neighbors after all. Hey, who are you? Yes, no politeness, but it's not surprising how and the fact that he didn't recognize me, because Naruto saw me completely different. The guy who fell from the sky. Have you forgotten already? I'll make fun of him a little, because the mood is painfully good when I see such a cute baby. It's strange that I think I'm a cute kid. Naya, it's true, especially when I look from the side. And if my parents were alive, then I would have a status, and girls would chase me in droves. Although no, I don't need that. Remembering Uchiha and his crazy female fans who went crazy from any action of Sasuke. I don't need that. And the greedy one who didn't want to show that boring technique. I remember you, but you somehow changed before you. I'm the greedy one. He missed my words that this technique is dangerous for himself. Behaves like a child. It's excusable for him because he is a child, but I don't have enough dictionaries. I cleaned myself up, pretended that I ignored his words. Nothing. He's just joking, so there's no point in taking offense at him. And what's your name, anyway? How long will this interrogation be conducted? Let me remind you that we are standing on the threshold. People coming out of apartments are already looking at us strangely, as if I want to rob a kid or something. But I know that even if Naruto wanted to rob, get rid of or finish off, the citizens would not lift a finger to prevent it. Status of Jinchuriki, what is beer? The embodiment of death, hatred, and other not very nice things. Min Mazunami, maybe even let you into the apartment, and then we stand for so long, and communicate through the gap, what? He blushed. I didn't say anything to make him nervous. It's not cleaned up a bit, everything is clear. Full of shit, so much so that he is terribly ashamed, and this despite the fact that he sees me for the second time in his life. Nothing, I don't want to impose. If anything, my apartment is number 13, we are, as I said, neighbors. Come by sometime if you feel like it. The guy was surprised at my hospitality at first, because a second ago, he refused me and did not let me go home. I'm not offended by him, he's still too young, and no one is watching him. Not followed, anyway. Now everything will be different. Then Naruto smiled broadly and shouted that he would be very happy to visit his brother, but definitely not today. And he had already forgotten about greed. Yes, that's what a child means. Young Genin and I parted on a positive note, but then my way lay to the Hokage residence. I had a really important conversation with the head of the village. Well, the roofs are much faster, so 5 minutes later, I was standing outside Hiruzen's office. Standing outside the door, I could already smell tobacco, an abomination. How is it with such an addiction that he hasn't died of cancer or something yet? A riddle. Or maybe it was the technique, because Tsunade had some kind of, it seems, bikuga, thanks to which she looked very young. And this grandfather had the technique, and that's it. He is completely healthy. Or maybe he even smokes special herbs to calm down, for example. Ha. I enter after the phrase enter, which was uttered by a clearly tired person who has not slept for about a day. But when I entered, I didn't see anything, because there was so much smoke that tears sprang out of my eyes, and I coughed. Disgusting. Dear Kaha Hokage, I am Min Mizunami, a guy who accidentally fell into Konoha while he was talking, almost suffocated. It would be the stupidest death in the history of shinobi. Even thinking about the proposals was difficult because of such a situation. And the guy who made a fuss in the village, why did he come? You are aware that you are not recommended to walk around the village. You are not a citizen of Konoha. You never know what could have happened. He smiles sweetly, and I'm drawn to puke. A terribly fake smile. I see how you want to tear and throw. It seems that the council and Danzo tried so hard, right? Of course, yes, they are experts in arranging a brainwash. But I've come to discuss serious things. I move closer to the window, feeling his interested gaze, open the window, letting fresh air into the room. At the same time, scanning the number of Anbu near this room. 7 people, no more and no less, the golden mean, bravo, Hokage. I'm here for a personal conversation. It can be arranged. The information is not for superfluous ears. I smile at him as sweetly as possible. I definitely don't need any problems with him. Then it would be more difficult to implement my plan. Of course, tell me, but I don't have much time. I'm listening to you. You don't understand me. I've come to talk about a very serious topic. This concerns Itachi Uchiha. I turn around and look straight into his old eyes. More surprise slipped through them. You're grieving that you killed Uchiha. Of course, you undermined the protection of your own village with your own hands, for the sake of Danzoya's interests, of course. Your own where without it. And the surprise is logical, because you didn't expect that some fool who made a mistake during training, even though it's not true, would have some information with him that you are so eager to forget and bury in the ruins of the clan. Destroyed by your order. Haha, what are you talking about, Minma? Don't try to confuse me with your false positive attitude towards me. You're panicking, I'm sure. We need to suppress this old man. Itachi is a renegade. He is no longer connected with Konoha with anything but the past. Stop playing these games, Hackage. Tell your Anbu to get out, unless, of course, you want them to know how you personally gave the order. To be silent, wow how he screamed, even hit the table so that I wouldn't say too much. And so Hiruzen orders Anbu to stop guarding him and get away from us. It's reasonable and stupid, you don't know all my powers, and naively assume that you can handle me. How can you be so self-confident? I'm listening to you. I was joking. Haha, you should have seen yourself, Hokage, put a little dust in your eyes so that Grandpa doesn't have a seizure. I've known everything about Itachi for a long time, and from him, but why should I say what the old man himself knows in all the details? I have a serious conversation with you, it concerns the future of Konoha and the whole world as a whole. That's it, no more jokes. Now there will be a serious conversation between a great ruler, a respected person, and an ordinary guy at first glance. That's just no one knows what this ordinary guy did, because of what he is now in the past. I'll tell you straight. I'm from the future. I came for a reason, of course. If you keep joking with me, you won't stay in Kano for long, my boy. My shinobi will escort you out in no time. Of course, they will be escorted out, and even on your orders, they will go to deal with me. And then you will spoil my whole plan with your stupidity. Yes, I wouldn't believe this nonsense myself, but I have a lot of evidence. It's in this old man's best interest to listen to me. And I have so many proofs that he will drown in them. But, of course, only an idiot would use everything at once. I take it you need proof. Okay, I find a chair and put it in front of Hokage's desk, and then I sit down on this very chair. In this way, I show the old man that during our conversation, we are at the same height, and there is no one among us who is older. More important, and so on. I will conduct a dialogue with you on the same level. Got it, freak. Proof number 1. As you have already understood, old man, I have information about the massacre. And a very, very interesting order. Smekash is only a small part of what you have done. I see how Hiruzen got nervous. He has a drop of sweat running down his forehead. It's so funny to watch an old man, like a fish, open and close his mouth, unable to say anything. He tries not to lose his composure, continuing to pretend that he is not involved. He closed his eyes, obviously thinking about what I said, and after a minute, he opened them and stared at me without blinking. Old man, you've already begun to doubt yourself. You were going to sit on this unstable throne for a long time, while your friends whisper their wishes in your ear. I don't believe it, I need more proof, poor old man, you want to bring yourself to the grave. Well, I don't mind. Mum, to tell me this, I playfully pretend that I'm really thinking, and put my finger to my lips, as if thinking about the answer. Oh, I remembered, haha, you, old man, let go of a ruthless killer because of your soft nature. Thereby endangering the lives of other people, and making the deaths of the Konnikov test subjects, whom you swore to protect meaningless. Or should I tell you how thoughtlessly you turned a blind eye to his appearance in the village? If I was joking initially, then remembering the case with Orochimaru, I became serious. Hiruzen could have solved everything then, but he lost his grip, and for this he paid the most innocent. As a shinobi who has survived no war and has seen so much cruelty and death that it is difficult to imagine. He could not cope with his student. This is ridiculous. This is impossible, only I and my appeal know about it. Really, who are you? He gets up from his seat, pressing on me with his chakra. Do you really think this will help? The pipe fell out of his mouth and fell half loudly. Now is not the time for jokes, the most serious conversation will be here and now. The old man was clearly furious, trying to remember all the shortcomings, because of which the truth could come out and become known to me. Only it's much more complicated than he can imagine. Don't make me repeat myself, I snort, staying in place. Old man, you just have to accept the fact that I told you. I'm from the future when all your machinations came to light and went public. You don't want that, do you? Or should I keep telling you about your mistakes? For example, how the whole village found out about who the fox was resting in as quickly as possible. but did not find the most important details of that night. How did it happen? You couldn't hold the tongue of your shinobi, who obey you implicitly. Or should I tell you how quickly the rumors about the once great clan that were destroyed in their own village died down? It's funny, don't you think? Do you have any idea what consequences your decisions have led to? I playfully throw all the blame on him. You need to make him regret, feel guilty, so that he is ready to take responsibility for his actions. It'll be easier for both of us, old man. So just don't resist, and think about what I'm saying. Listen to me, do what I say. It's pretty simple. You will not have time to blink, as you will feel remorse, and the pangs of conscience will devour you from the inside. You're going to have to accept me, take my side. Hokage nodded, just listening to me, not even thinking to interrupt. Well done, I praise you. He clearly didn't like this kind of future. It is logical to assume that if I came from the future, then something very bad has happened. So, whatever happens, you will have to help me well. We don't want a repeat of what we went through. As if he was already at one with me, I asked. He has no choice but to believe, and I'm not going to let him think that something is going wrong. We know him, but he's unlikely to guess. What is required of me? It is clear that the agreement was not easy. He frowned and asked a question, continuing to drill a hole in me. He wanted to end this conversation as soon as possible, and no longer see those penetrating blue eyes that seemed to tear out his soul. Great, that's how it would always be. Straight to the point, gentlemen, right? Haha, I only have a few requests. First, I have to become the second Shinshai of team number 7. I will go on missions with them, get money with them and so on, but don't you dare remove Kakashi from the team. All right. I smile as sweetly as possible. I don't want to hurt him, so I'm being as friendly as possible. All right, I'll do it. Something else. Of course, he won't get rid of me so quickly. If I wanted something from you, then I'll take everything I need. I will live where I was assigned. Pay for the apartment. Apartment, of course, I will not, and also I demand 50,000 monthly, agreed. I need 50,000 right now, so I have to leave the residence with the money. This will definitely go to your mission. Of course, I give my word to shinobi, a joke of children who, in confirmation of their rightness, say, I give my word to shinobi, even without being them. The last bandage, and Kanohi's documents, so that everyone knows that Min Mazunami is the shinobi of this village. That's all for now. I'll do everything you said. That's great. I got up, elated with success, and pleased with myself that I was able to persuade Hokage to do everything. I'll ask. The old man had no other options. And I also have to come up with a new plan, make up the probability of their implementation. All this is too problematic. So far it is worth following a path that is a little easier. Such a pleasant feeling of power, as in the first minutes of that war. Huh, that's weird. When I got to the door, and had already started to open it, I heard Hiruzen ask his question after all. I knew how to give a real honest answer to it, but I couldn't do it. What awaits us, since you have moved in time? On the other hand, why not give him a hint? If you haven't lost your grip, then you should guess. One day, the sun will follow the lead of other luminaries and make a big boom. I show the explosion with my hands, translating my story into a joke. I gave the answer, and then figure it out for yourself, Hackage. Goodbye, and see you soon. Everything went better than I had planned. Victory. When I came home with an envelope containing 50,000 Rio, and a bandage with the Kanoha sign, I was satisfied. Everything I had in my hand was on the table. All I wanted right now was a good night's sleep. After all, I have a meeting with team number 7 waiting for me tomorrow. With my team. Note to the part. Note to the part. So the second chapter came out. They tried very hard on it and put a lot of effort into it. It would be nice to know your opinion about this chapter. See you soon, the image of Menma. Chapter 3. My new enemy is on the path of shinobi. It is right to say that the morning is not good. As soon as I woke up, the feeling was as if Biju had passed over me. Yes, and even a little trampling. I suspect that this was due to a wound from Kidori, which is no longer there. In the dream, the hole completely healed, as did all the other reminders of the latter. It took the nine-tailed chakra to recover, and the sensations after using it remained far from the most pleasant. Okay, we have to get up. I lazily threw off the blanket, and, gathering my will into a fist, sat down. Yes, I like to sleep, but such fatigue is unusual for me, but it's not new, because after long workouts, that could go for more than 7 hours in a row, or even more, the body required a well-deserved rest. But this situation is different, because I literally got tired in my sleep. Perhaps the time transition had a hand in this, which sucked a lot of strength out of me, but I still won't know the truth. I yawned and slapped my cheeks a little so that the dream would completely come to naught. A little burning betrayed cheerfulness, and with one jerk I got out of bed, leaving her. One until the evening. Then I wanted to wash up. Since the apartment was identical to the one where Naruto now lives, I could easily have walked into any part of it even with my eyes closed. Of course, I haven't been in my apartment for a long time, but you can't just forget the place where you lived for so many years. Dachshund, no toothbrush, no paste, no soap, no personal hygiene products at all. It's not surprising, but it's a pity. I was hoping that the previous owners had left me more gifts. I won't call myself squeamish. I had to touch, eat, kill all kinds of abomination more than once. And this is only a small part of what I had to do. I remember once I even had to kill a bear in the land of snow and sleep in its entrails. It wasn't disgusting, it was just necessary to survive, to make every effort to achieve this goal. I note that during the probationary period, so to speak, the organization had no less vile tasks like cutting out one remote village, torturing as long as possible the time of a random passerby for the sake of extracting non-existent information, and similar disgusting orders of the head. I would rather forget that horror, although there is no escape from the past. But if we talk about more pleasant things, then I will have to go to the store in the evening and buy everything I need. I love shopping, I will not be modest. Fortunately, Hokage acted wisely and did not bargain, or, even worse, refuse me my demanding requests. The memories of this old man made me think a little. When I found out what the third vile, greedy, disgusting person really is, I wasn't too upset. After all, at that time I was already in the organization and knew a lot of dirty secrets of Konoha and its rulers. But now that I'm in the past, yeah, it's hard. On the one hand, I can demand a refund right now. Naruto is all that is rightfully his to kill the third, his henchmen, and those who will have a hand in the moral destruction of me from the past. But on the other hand, it's a bad idea. If I do this now about my emotions, then fulfilling my personal mission will be more difficult. And Naruto is unlikely to continue listening to the one who killed his beloved Hokage so far. Even if I do it for his benefit, he won't understand now. And it is unlikely to be done on the sly, given the entire retinue of the old man. Konoha will plunge into chaos when he is killed. How long will the village last without a ruler? So, I have people of purpose whose death is mandatory. This list includes the third Danzo, the advisors of Obito, who is now pretending to be Tobi, and a couple of other personalities. Of course, it would be very nice if everything went according to plan, because half of this list will die before Naruto turns 16. But I am in the past, which means that every action I take has consequences, and I have to be very careful in my actions. No matter how strong I am, time is no joke. I have the proposed further actions, and then I will act according to the situation, and improvise in some places. I hope this doesn't result in something too incomprehensible or in a worse situation for little me. And now it's time to go out. I don't want the team to wait for me longer than Kakasha and say everything they think about me. I know myself that I'm not perfect, but I have no desire to listen to their whining. I don't have a watch in my apartment, which means they will have to be bought. Today I will definitely need to go to the store and get everything I may need, otherwise the list will grow and grow. So much so that even the current money will not be enough for me. The last time I looked at the current shelter, in which I will not live for so long. I have business not only in Kano, but also in other countries and villages. As soon as Jiraiya and Naruto leave this village on their journey, then I will also be away for about 2.5 years. I don't see any point in staying in the village at all, because Naruto will leave, Sasuke will become an apostate, and train. Sakura wasn't in my plans. Tsunade will take care of this. I have no time to mess with Nedo Shinobi. I remember her bullying and hitting me all the time, laughing at my feelings, and doing other things that offended me when I was young. And as a result, it was Kunichi. Except for the control and status of the field Ryuni on the rank, there was nothing. I couldn't brag. In the war against me, she died in the ranks of the first, because then I destroyed the Iryunins first. There is even a golden rule of doctors to do everything possible so that Iryunin died last, and saved as many lives as possible. There are no Iryunins, there is no hope for a long life. But now I'm her sensei, I'm going to try to get through to Sakura, so that she behaves more modestly and respectfully towards her teammates, and even more so sensei. Although it will not be so easy to retrain this spoiled girl who thinks that everything is allowed to her. Last time, it didn't reach her even during the war. I also want to train regularly, not like Kakashi. He took it too lightly, not thinking that his students could have died on the first mission, and in fact it almost happened. If I hadn't decided to stay and help Kakashi-sensei back then, he would have been another grave in the Kanohi cemetery. And perhaps that death would have been better than the one from which he died. To be honest, I respect his strength and inner core, but to come alone to a psycho, and in another way I can't call myself past. And tried to kill, my sensei died, choking on his own blood, lying on the floor without his left hand. And with his left eye gouged out. Yes, I gave him Nobito's Sharinga. I still remember how the son of White Fang convulsively squeezed and unclenched his palm on his right hand, as if checking whether it was in place, and then with bitterness in his voice confessed, constantly spitting blood on the floor, that he could not keep track of his teacher's son. And after he died, out of respect for him, I burned his body. I remember the past more and more often. It seems that it's not so easy for me to forget everything that happened because of the leader. I will not allow this hell to happen again. I swear I'll stop it. A cool breeze blew into my face, ruffling the already untidy hair on my head when I left my small apartment. I tried to lay them many times, but they somehow magically wouldn't be laid, no matter how hard I tried. I remember when Hinata, who was in love at that moment, said that my wheat hair was very beautiful and looked magical. And then she blushed and ran away. She was strange, it seems, it's all youth and love. The memories of my unfortunate hair reminded me of Naruto. He really doesn't like to wait, so I should hurry, even though I'm already late. But I remember that Kakashi did the collection at the 7th training ground at exactly 6 in the morning, and came closer to 10. Thereby checking our endurance and hoping that we would start independent training without it. But then we didn't realize it before and were just angry at our sluggish and terribly unpunctual sensei. It could have been the fact that we just absolutely did not understand what to do with normal training tactics. Identifying weaknesses was far from being about our team. We just went with the flow, trying to find benefits for ourselves. Yes, this day will begin. I give a little chakra to my legs to make a strong push, thanks to which my jump will be fast. Oh, how I love it when you fly in the air like a bird, and the wind tickles your face and ruffles your hair. I always admired this moment, even when I was not myself. It is worth saying that during the flight, after scanning the area, I felt the well-hidden chakra of 5 Anbu and 3 members of the root. You don't trust it means nothing. I understand that you are scared, old people, but you will not escape death under any circumstances. However, now my goal is to get to the training ground, to my team in every sense. On the other hand, I had a great idea, and why don't I keep an eye on the hackage? He won't notice me, I'm sure of that, but the more information I can gather about his current actions and plans, the more I can manipulate him. Anyway, sooner or later you'll have to dig into his dirty laundry and find out. Know even more information about German shadow cloning. I ran into some kind of alley, away from the prying eyes of civilians, and no less curious eyes of the Secret Service. At the same moment as the clone was formed, he took the bird's wings, and then flew away towards the residence. I hope I will get more information, but for now I go out, scratching my head and pretending that I turned the wrong way. And then I go to the Genin team that has already been waiting for me. As soon as I jumped onto the so-called upper paths, which are actually ordinary roofs of civilian houses, I rushed to the landfill. So here I am. I'm in no hurry to show myself right away and hide the chakra as much as possible, so that children who want to seem like real shinobi so much don't notice me. Why am I doing this? Yes, I just want to watch them and find out if they will train themselves while waiting for their sensei. Training is very important for shinobi, because if you want to live longer, then you should make an effort to do it. It is not necessary to train day after day, exhausting your reserve completely, although such training is the most productive, because it can negatively affect human health. Such monsters of training often suffer from depletion of chakra canals and wear them out. In simpler terms, closer to the age of 30, such a person will have seizures, frequent fatigue and weakness, tremor, headaches. In such cases, it is necessary to be under the supervision of ionins, because otherwise, by the age of 40, a person may die due to a malfunction of the SK and diseases associated with it. That's the downside of shinobi life. Although there were too many wars and battles before, and many simply did not live up to the moment when diseases began to take over the body. After watching the team a little more, I realized that they were not going to take at least some action. Sakura tries to win Yuchi's attention, but she doesn't do it well. I don't understand what they find in it. An ordinary guy with an inflated ego, who considers everyone to be just dirt on the sole of a sandal. But everything changes if someone strong gets into his field of vision who can give Uchiha this power. What an abomination. This Sasuke is a complete idiot who caused and causes only disgust for his person. He and his brother were left alone, he has no one else, and what is this jerk doing? Decides to kill his own brother, without even knowing why a loved one did such a thing. Itachi is a very nice person, but with his cockroaches. At first I didn't see Itachi in him, But Sasuke thought that all Uchiha behaved the same, but how was I wrong? Having spent a lot of time with the older Uchiha, I can say with confidence that I will not let my student kill him anymore. It's always nice to have a good ally, but for that I need to meet with him and talk. The most convenient option will be when a couple of Kisame and Itachi from Akatsuki themselves come to Konoha. I will have time to discuss a cooperation agreement with him, which in the future, I hope, will make him change his mind about being killed by Sasuke. With Uchiha and Sakura, everything is clear. Naruto is trying to tell them something, but to put it mildly, they don't care about their teammate and his story. Well, I finished it, so it's ramen with shrimp, and then there's some kind of knock. I was surprised, because no one usually comes to visit me. I tensed up, even put kunai in my belt bag just in case. If it was a spy, then I would show him who is the coolest ninja before Chibai. But everything turned out to be much more interesting. Hey. Seeing that two members of the team completely ignored his story, Naruto got angry, and then took a deep breath and shouted. Actually, I'm talking about the guy who fell to us during the test. Imagine, he came to me. We thought he was a spy, but he turned out to be an ordinary shinobi. Although it still seems strange. Do you hear, Databaya? That's when Sasuke and Sakura tensed up. Of course, it's strange that a spy comes to someone. Do they think I was collecting information? If so, I will be glad to work their brains. If not, I am disappointed. Not here, Naruto. We're not idiots like you, asshole. I wouldn't believe in a million years that someone so incomprehensible would come to you. And anyway, that strange one wouldn't have been released so easily. And even more so wouldn't have been allowed to walk around the village, idiot. After her fiery speech, the girl, not shy of anyone, beats the blonde with such force that Naruto instantly grew a bump. What a bitch she is. I never would have thought that I was in love with her once. Yes, I loved her even at the age of 16, when the brain should already be working somehow, but no. Looking at this pink miracle, now she causes me even more disgust than Sasuke. You should never cause pain. A neighbor. Right now, Naruto and Sasuke were the closest to her, if you don't take into account her family. The team is based on mutual understanding, cooperation, friendship. If at least one component is missing, then there will be no team. I don't understand why Kakashi decided to take this team. Yes, they got the point. Tests, but the components of the team were practically absent from them. They are too stubborn and self-willed to think and compromise sometimes. Although Hokage didn't let the last Uchiha and Jinchuriki go to the academy, it's elementary. Because both guys should understand the essence of shinobi life, get used to killing, and be as faithful as possible. Villages. Well, with Naruto in them, it worked out perfectly. A few kind smiles, a couple of coupons, and a child who does not know care and affection becomes a tame animal. That will do everything that a kind grandfather tells him. Thoughts about Hokage were interrupted by the clone's memories. In short, Hiruzen ordered Kakashi to watch me and my actions with both eyes. Report on every little thing, and eliminate it if necessary. You can't tell the truth, Grandpa. It's your style, because if Hatake finds out the truth, it could put you under attack. The head of the 7th Command would hardly not have asked about the future or the past, but I can't. I wouldn't hesitate to say what he demands. That's when it will be bad. Rumors will spread, whispers, and it will all lead to sad consequences for you. And perhaps for many other shinobi. Once I've found out everything, I stop hiding and go down to the team. I still need to officially meet them. Preferably before the arrival of Kakashi. Hello everyone. Oh, what's wrong with their faces? Are they really that easily scared? But I don't have time for unnecessary conversations. I, Uzumaki Minma, am your new sensei. I don't like conversations, so I suggest a quick acquaintance. Ha, and it's funny to watch how they first tried to digest everything. The information that I gave them, and then watch their uncomprehending, stretched out in shock faces. Kakashi-sensei was removed from our team. No, I'm your extra sensei. Hokage's order is to make a slight smile so that they know that I am not hostile to them and want to cooperate with them. I quickly look around the whole team and notice how much darker the cloud is. And why do we need a second sensei? We have enough of one, especially since he makes a hitch to find the words. Are you trying to belittle me, or vice versa, gently hint at my sudden fall? Incomprehensible, who is so incompetent that he can't even can use something stronger up to tone. Pef. He still resents my refusal to teach him my technique. Donnie's Naruto, 2 pair of boots however, to call weak, not knowing me, what I said there about Uchiha. Oh yes, that they are too proud. Oh, Sasuke-chan, I didn't think you were so. It will only impress my spectacular performance. It's worth saying that they didn't lie in your personal file. You really are an ordinary chicken with a peacock tail, the main thing is to smile sweetly. Most often, people are taken out when I told them nasty things with a cute face, or, to be precise, a chicken, not a chicken. Wow. Bad killing intent for a kid like that. Naruto and Sakura shy away from him. If I were in their place, I would do the same. It is not necessary to wave red underpants in front of an angry bull. Kato the fireball. The guy does not waste time, immediately attacks, trying to defend his honor, but it's too late. I will stand by my opinion, which I immediately informed Uchiha, reflecting a fireball that tried to turn me into ashes. How stupid. Well, if you don't like chicken, then you'll be a duckling. Your hairdo is just like his ass. Haha. Not a bad joke. Naruto snorted into his fist, restraining himself as much as possible so as not to offend his opponent, but Sakura started up. Pef, girls, yes, how dare you, idiot sensei. No one dares to offend Sasuke-kun. And anyway, we don't believe you. Now we'll call Shinobi, and it won't seem enough to you. You don't even have a blindfold, so we can believe. Oh, what are you talking about, this piece of iron? I take out of my bag the bandage that I was so kindly given yesterday when I left the residence. So here she is, what do you say now? Sakura couldn't say anything and just shut up. Well, thank God, otherwise I wasn't going to listen to what a fragile little guy. So let's do it again. I invite everyone to introduce themselves and tell something about themselves. Let's start with you. I point to Sakura, who shrugged her shoulders and started not even talking, but minting words. Haru Nasakura, who has a dream and a goal, stealthily as it seemed to her, looked at Uchiha. Everything is clear, nothing new. It's even boring somehow, the rest is in the dossier here. Okay, Miss Riddle, if you don't want to, don't. The next one is you, you should still be called a chicken, or a duckling. Uchiha Sasuke. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. There is a goal to kill my brother. The rest was written in the resume, since you read it, sensei. Oh, if it were possible to kill with a look, but he literally spat out the last word. The main thing for me is not to overdo it with him, but I can make fun of him for a long time. The main thing is careful, but I promise, I will act jewelry. Yes, you guys are boring, because I pretend to be sad to you with all my heart, even a little sense. A slime appeared in the eye. How did Toby love to mock us so much, using such infuriating tricks? I, Naruto Uzumaki, without waiting for me to tell him to introduce himself, Naruto started. The goal is to become a Hokage, and the dream is to have an endless supply of ramen. Well, since we've met, I suggest we start training. Instantly, the false sadness disappears. Kakashi is already close, there is no need to give his brain extra food for thought. 20 laps around the polygon, after 50 push-ups, and the same number of squats to perform. If you manage to do it all quickly, then we will take your first mission. I will act according to the system. Carrot and stick. They will have an aspiration and a personal desire in order to get a mission, but if they fail, they will be left without it. Today is the day when all the newly minted teams will receive their first mission, and I very much doubt that the members of Team No 7 will want to be the only one without it. And if you don't have time to do everything in 45 minutes, then the training will continue for another week. What does that mean? That you won't take a single mission, and will be the only genins who will be so far behind. Well done, Sakura, after all, your brain is your strong part. It's just a pity that he doesn't always work for her. That's right, that's why we're starting. Yes, my first training as a teacher will begin. Just at that moment, Kakashi arrived, who, without giving any sign, was pleased that the guys had started training. Kakashi Hatake, he introduced himself, waving his head at me in greeting. Hokage-sama informed me that you are the second sensei of this team. This is the first time I have met such a practice. Also, Hokage herself noted that you were the initiator of this idea. Can you tell me why you need to work with the team, knowing that it has a sensei? This has never happened in Kano before. Dear Kakashi, if you knew how important this is to me, the whole plan was based on this, as Hokage held onto his head. So that it would not fall off after I would deliver the whole black truth about him to higher-ups. I suggest we go straight to you. Kakashi, have you ever thought that if one person hadn't asked, why wouldn't I create something similar to a knife? But it would be more convenient in the fight of the shinobi world in general could not exist if not for something new. Your truth, trying to do something new. It's not my style, I'm used to using what our ancestors left us, Kakashi replied. I wouldn't say that this point of view is absolutely wrong, but we need to keep up with the times, which is what I told him. We didn't talk for the next 40 minutes. We just sat down under a tree and started watching the progress of the training. Well, how to observe. Kakashi pretended to be reading. However, he pretended to be the key word because only genins would buy into such a disguise. I pretended to fall asleep at all. And such a test of honesty, will they be able to perform all the exercises as they were told, or will they hack? Knowing that we do not see. They pleasantly surprised me, as it's easy to guess, Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke completed all the exercises. But they finished doing them at different times. Uchiha graduated first. It is expected, after all, he was trained in the clan from early childhood and got used to performing the received loads. Naruto finished second, a minute separated him from the first place. But it is worth noting that Uzumaki looked more cheerful due to the fox and his genes, because the members of his clan are extremely restless and energetic. The last one, as you can easily guess, was Sakura. The girl was exhausted, but was able to perform the exercise. She is still clanless and does not have any special genes that would help her not to get so tired, but nothing. She will get used to this pace over time. And if not, then at any moment she can give up the life of a shinobi and become an ordinary girl who helps her parents earn money along the way. We did everything and met it on time. So you will take the mission. When can we start? Sakura brought me out of my thoughts. I understand that she, like her teammates, can't wait to start the tasks. The three of them were excited and sat on their knees waiting for our answer. I see their twitching fingers, and under their gaze, I put my finger to my lips. I don't even know how we or Shinsei can send three inexperienced children on missions. And suddenly something happens, maybe even die. Their faces should be seen. At first, they were a little tense, considering the words about their possible death on the first task. They do not yet suspect that they will not receive any dangerous tasks, only Hatake and I know about this. First, genins are tested for strength, sending them to do dirty work about the shelf of vegetable gardens. Look after cattle and similar assignments. Usually new shinobi just don't have enough patience for such basic low-ranking tasks. But after that, there is already a real test of strength. The team is sent on a mission with a higher rank. The essence of such missions is to deliver something at different distances. Of course, delivery can have a higher rank if, for example, you need to deliver something very valuable. So the delivery of monk is not uncommon in the life of shinobi. During the Second and Third Wars, the delivery of strategically important documents was of great importance. And if it was not possible to transfer the scrolls, then this could lead to a huge loss of shinobi in the army or, in extreme cases, defeat. After the Shrang, there are Frang tasks, but they are not given to persons who do not have the rank of Chunin. So there is no point in discussing them yet. But Minma-sensei, we've done everything, so let's take a mission to protect some beauty or something even cooler. This way everyone will know about my strength and bravery, and I will be able to become a real cool Hokage faster. Take your time, Naruto. They won't let you guard important people right away, Kakashi reassured the blonde. Uzumaki slowed down, but still continued to list those missions that, in his opinion, would glorify him and help him take the coveted position. What did not sound from him, and the protection of the daimyo, and the transportation of the princess? Did he really think that they would be given such missions so easily? And I don't understand this desire for the chair of the head of the village at all. Yes, I had it, but growing up, I realized that this is a pretty lousy place. In this position, you need to be able to lie, dodge, play dirty games, and let sand in your eyes. To be honest, for a while it was even a little difficult for me to imagine my father in this rotten position. Yes, even Gaara, having been in Kazukaga's chair, told me about many subtleties and difficulties. He spoke for a long time, but the main difficulty, according to him, was to get approval from his people. It took a lot of effort and time. It was necessary to show people that he was no longer a crazy Jinchuriki. Gaara didn't know how to talk to a lot of people and make them do what he said. It is impossible to please absolutely everyone, and therefore often had to rely on the discipline of shinobi. How funny that it was he who became the commander-in-chief of the United Shinobi Army. And I was able to force people to go against me in that war. I even listened to his speech briefly. He was able to do what he couldn't. Now I have to do it too. All right, team, let's go to Hokage for your first mission. There is, the children exclaimed joyfully. It took about a month after receiving the first deranging task. I don't think it's worth saying that the team was offended by me. They believed to the last that Hiruzen would give them a C or even a franc because I said that on the missions for which we would go. They could die, be injured and so on without thinking, which I just decided. I decided to have fun and make fun of them. But now everything has turned a little differently, although history repeats itself. I, Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and the customer Tazuna-san are going to the land of waves. Everything happened just like that time. Naruto shouted a little, and Hiruzen immediately gave the first available shrang. Being a 12-year-old genin, it seems cool, but now that I'm an adult who has been through a lot of shit, I think about what an idiot Sarutobi is. How can you send a completely green team to another country? It's only been a month. During this time, their attacks developed only physical abilities for the trio. No training towards genjutsu or ninjutsu. Only a little bit of taijutsu, but even in this direction, we started developing genins just a week ago. They are not at all ready to upgrade the rank of the mission. When Hiruzen gave the go-ahead for the ranking task, we, as sensei, were surprised. Too little time. Hokage gave us 2 heirs and Sakura to develop. Moreover, I know that the rank of this mission, if not the Omechnik of the Fog, and his assistant, is comparable in strength to the Nukenin of Arong. I doubt Sarutobi is unaware of the second day of this mission. So, he hopes that she and Kakashi will look after the team, show them the truth of the shinobi world, and do everything to save their lives. Quite a bold decision, considering that he does not fully believe me, and is even afraid. It is correct to say that the main one is the one who has the information. So I tried to refuse, but it didn't work out for me. As soon as Hokage announced the essence of the task, a drunken customer Tazuna-san immediately burst into the office. And that's what it all led to. The team was in a thoughtful state. Naruto goes with a wound that has already healed, which he made himself, but with a blood oath. His eyes were burning, showing that he wasn't going to back down from his dictionaries. Sasuke lost half of his chakra reserve while protecting Sakura and Uzumaki, for which he received general respect. Even from me, Sakura was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. The situation with the death of me and Kakashi had a hand in this. Allegedly, the twins were able to tear us to shreds with their sudden attack. Yes, I decided to act like Kakashi, not to interfere in their first fight against the demon brothers. After the battle, I had to decide whether to continue the mission or not. Sakura and I were against the continuation. Surprised, to be honest, I had no desire to continue the mission with children who can't even walk on water. In other words, you will have to spend a lot of effort to protect them, because they cannot stand up for themselves. Unless only a sneeze, and then not for long. Corona was simply afraid for her life. I don't blame her, even though I don't understand. Since I decided to become a shinobi, accept the harsh reality, everyone should have done it. So after we neutralized the twins, I started getting information out of them. And what is the easiest way to find out everything you need? That's right, torture. I don't envy my test subject. In torture, I am a master, torn nails, key pressure, slow cutting of the skin all over the body, a gouged eye and much more. While I was torturing a guy about whom I know almost nothing, there was a disgusting smell of blood and his feces, as well as very, very loud screams. I didn't really care about them, but I literally felt the genins trembling, and Hatake tensed up. I asked Kakashi to let the children come to me so that they would study and learn everything from the very beginning of their career. Even this way of extracting the necessary information, but he wouldn't let them. I only managed to convince him not to stop me from teaching them how to kill. They have never done this before, but it's time to start. Kakashi called them to him. After that, I ordered everyone to take Tsunade's hand and took them to the side of the 2 brothers. One was on the edge of life and held on only thanks to a miracle, and the second seemed to be praying, hoping that the genins would not be able to kill him. And even if we had left them here, they wouldn't have lasted long. It is necessary to be kinder and stop their torment. You are now, shinobi, these are your opponents who wanted to kill you and your customer. I look at Kakashi, who perfectly understood what I was talking about. As a sensei, he will have to figure out the real rank of the mission and make a plan for further advancement. Kill them. What? Sakura asked in a voice trembling with fear, staggering back. Naruto and Sasuke were silent, trying to understand my words. Their heartbeat increased, they began to breathe more often, and their arms and legs trembled a little. They were brought out of their stupor by the bellowing of the attacker. But he's a human being, you can't do that. Naruto is an order. Do you think all your enemies will be as merciful as you and just let you go? If you don't do it, then I will do it for your own good. A few more seconds passed as Uchiha took the first step. And he, well done, still gained determination. But can it? I'll do it, sensei. As soon as he said this, gritting his teeth, the 2 brothers immediately twitched and mumbled, scaring the Uchiha a little. Sasuke Naruto only managed to whisper the name of his friend. As the last Uchiha cut the throat of my test subject with a sharp movement. So as not to suffer, yes, you are one of the holy duckling with us. The answer to me was a murderous look of 2 eyes with one tomoe. He had finally awakened him, it would be easier to fight during the battle on the bridge. Don't get me wrong, Sasuke. You're good, go to the poop. There is a sensei. Uchiha threw the bloody kunai and left. His back was tense, and his hands were clenched into fists. It all betrayed his tension after the first murder. His face also almost wrinkled. I'm not going to do that. Excuse me, Minma-sensei muttered Naruto, and stuck the kunai into the ground. Sakura also did the same, after which they ran after Sasuke, trying to disappear from this place as quickly as possible. After all, Sasuke left, and the two were still feverishly looking at the corpse that Uchiha had left. Okay, suicide bomber, now I'm just going to turn around when I saw the second corpse. That surprised me. The throat of the second man was also cut. It happened while I was looking after the genins. Someone was able to sneak behind my back, do dirty things so quietly, and escape without disturbing me. Now this mission is starting to strain me too. After taking one last look at the two corpses tied to a tree, I left to join the team. Okay, let's move out. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, you move ahead, Tsunade goes with you. Kakashi, we're closing up. I decided not to keep this incident a secret and tell the assistant about the tale. Has something happened? The customer asked. He's joking. In this situation, he should keep quiet, because the team and I can still turn around and leave, leaving him alone. I informed him about this, after which he guessed to shut up. Clearly offended by me, the customer went ahead, guarded by the team, and I and Kakashi were left a little behind. We have a problem. There's a tail behind us, and it's unusual. As you understand, Sasuke killed one of the renegades. There was one more that Naruto and Sakura could not kill. I decided to finish off the second one, but when I turned around, he was already dead. Someone was able to get to him behind my back. This is clearly a pro. It remains to be seen whether he cleans up the dirt behind us or gives us a warning. We'll keep an eye on it, Hitaki exhaled. In vain Hokage-sama gave us this mission. I don't like her anymore. Minma thoughtfully drawled my former sensei, clearly realizing that we still have a lot to do to complete the mission. Me too, but we can still leave. No one will judge us. Kakashi, it looks like he still has a childhood trauma in him. I remember that his father was convicted for saving the life of a comrade and not fulfilling the mission. And then, Sekumo Hitaki committed harakiri, leaving little Kakashi alone. In truth, he looked me in the eye, wondering if I should trust the information he would tell me about. What? No, nothing. Hurry up, it's not worth leaving them alone, otherwise they will fight again. After all, they are still quite children. Without waiting for me, Hitaki ran after the team, while I stayed in place. He wanted to tell me something, but for some reason changed his mind. So he still doesn't trust me and is following Hokage's instructions to spy on me. It's rather unpleasant, considering that I immediately shared my thoughts about the tale with him. Although I could not have taken the first step towards our cooperation. But he also has the right not to share his past with me. Yes, and the significant selection of the part about their age also warped me. He didn't like that I ordered them to kill the guilty apostates. My opinion is that it's better that they take a life under our supervision for the first time now than on the battlefield. And the devil knows whose life. Genins can then get excited, and this can lead to their death, because experienced shinobi need only a second to deal with the enemy. Okay, I'm unobtrusive. It's just that the time will come, and he himself will understand that I'm not as bad as he thinks. And I rushed after Kakashi. The next hours were normal, caught up with the team, reached the pier, a friend or whoever he is. The customer moved us, but after that. Get down, Kakashi shouted at the top of his voice. Just in case, I pulled Sakura and the customer to the ground. Naruto and Sasuke were a little later, but they also managed to flatten themselves to the ground. A second before a huge sword flew over our heads. Suddenly, the fog began to thicken. It became so hard to see that if we were all 5 steps further from each other, we would be lost in this haze. Suddenly, a voice came out of the fog. 8 points: larynx, spine, liver, carotid artery, iliac vein, kidneys, heart, which one we choose. Any Zabuza, I will still mourn them for a long time. A second mocking voice rang out from the fog. I don't recall anyone else being present during the first attack. This is very strange. At this time, the guys got up from the ground and took the ring of customers, thereby protecting the backs of each other and Tazuna. Zabuza Mummy, renegade and swordsman of the hidden mist. And along with you, Raiga Kurasuke, also a renegade and also a swordsman, did not expect to see you here, especially you, Raiga. Suddenly, 2 people appeared in front of Kakashi and me. Both were tall. One had a bandaged mouth, and the other was smiling, so you could see his teeth, very sharp and similar to sharks. This is one of the hallmarks of hidden mist swordsmen. You motherfucker, Hitaki turned his head towards the man with the bandaged mouth and the sword that had almost cut off our heads before. And you, Raiga Kurasuke, Kakashi turned towards the young man with crazy eyes. He had 2 swords of an incomprehensible shape. As far as I know, these swords can control the flow of electricity, for which its owner was called the Thunder of Hidden Fog. That's right, Kakashi's Sharingan, Zabuza replied, and it seemed that he was smiling, clearly expecting a good battle. I decided to cast my vote so that they wouldn't forget about me either. Strangely, I was told that the thunder of the hidden mist is far from its homeland. Raiga turned to me, and his smile immediately disappeared. Tears began to flow from his eyes, and his smile grew wider and wider. It seemed that he was about to tear his mouth. At the moment, he looked like a madman, which it seems he was. He killed him. Kurasuki screamed and struck the ground with his swords. We were lucky that he didn't feed their poems and lightning, because if that happened, everyone here would have died long ago. Because the fog consists of water droplets, and the water itself is an excellent conductor for current. In other words, he would have squeezed us. Kakashi did not wait and immediately opened his Sharingan for everyone to see. Those eyes, they took my Ranmaru. He was just a kid. For this I will bury you all. I will do it, observing all traditions, so that your souls rest forever, he shouted. The renegades have disappeared. Hatake quickly and briefly told all the information about our opponents to the genins, and I began to figure out what to do. I can easily deal with these two, but I don't want to show my strength in front of Hatake, because he will immediately report everything to Hiruzen. And I don't want to shine my bloodthirsty techniques in front of the children. Let's start with you, girl. The voice of the Undertaker sounded in the side where the guys were, and then Sakura's scream. In an instant I'm behind her. My kunai meets Kurasuki's blades, but it manages to hit Kunaichi. The noise of the body falling brings the guys to their senses. They turn her over on her stomach. And then frown at the deep wound on the girl's back. Oh, how I doubt that there was no poison on the swords. Hatake, Sakura is injured. I'll take Kurasuki away from you and deal with him. The burden remains on you. The team's Shinsei nodded, and I started to act, but before that I grabbed Haruna and hid her away from the battle. And for reliability I covered her with an earthen dome. This girl needs to be buried. I'll do fine, you won't have to worry. Because you will be next in the ground. Raiga appeared behind me. Instantly I turn around and get my foot in the chest. Not very painful, but unpleasant. Quickly recovering, I created two clones. Suiton Wave. Righten Discharge. The first clone evaporated, and in its place there was a fairly large wave charged from the second evaporated clone. The renegade was able to avoid the deadly wave by jumping away from it, and I began to go further into the forest to leave Sakura safe. Fortunately for me, Raiga ran after me. After 3 minutes of such catch-up, I stopped in a clearing, and Kurosaki landed there. Before we start the battle, tell me why you came to kill us, and about what? You were screaming in the woods. Is this your last wish? Well, let's say yes. Well, we didn't really want to come here ever again. But a week ago, a shinobi of a mask came to me and my ward Ranmar. It was black, but there was a pattern of red fire on it. This man called himself Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun. After he introduced himself, the apostate continued, ignoring my remark. It felt like he was telling it not to me, but to himself, remembering a day that he wanted to forget forever. He killed Ranmaru, just stabbed a poor, innocent child. And when I tried to kill this scum, I couldn't even touch him with my finger. And only when I ran out of strength and stopped trying to kill him, he told me that if I brought him the head of one shinobi, he would resurrect my poor Ranmaru. And I have to bring your head. You understand that it's impossible to get people from the other world. I asked coldly if it were possible. Then I would have committed a harakiri long ago to bring people close to me back to life. I was interrupted by his scream. No, he said that such a technique exists. He called her editanzi. It's simple, but you need your head to carry it out. I will do everything so that Ranmaru is with me again. I realized that the swordsman had completely lost his mind from grief and was living only his dream. He charged, charging his blades with the lightning element. I'm going to kill you. It was a stupid battle. Kurosaki struck thoughtlessly, striking one by one, without making calculations. He just wanted to hurt me and quickly. Gracefully parrying all the blows, I let the attacker get closer to me, and then applied one of my favorite techniques, Rasengan. The technique in my hand collided with the Undertaker's stomach, turning his internal organs into mush. Deadly technique. And now the equipment stops working. Kurosaki falls on his back. But before he dies, a smile appears on his lips. Not that crazy and unreal, but kind, pure and bright. Ranmaru, we're going to meet you now, baby, he croaked with his last breath. Looking around at the lifeless body, I punched his skull with a kunai, just in case, so that he would. Definitely not alive. You never know, we need to be more vigilant. To be honest, I felt sorry for this man. He found the meaning of his life, And then this meaning was killed by the mysterious Amaterasu, who seems to want me dead. Since he promised to perform a forbidden technique for the sake of reviving some unknown child. And Raiga himself, a fool, just believed someone who killed his man himself. It's kind of weird. I looked around to find the blades and see if there was poison on them. If yes, Sakura needs urgent medical help. It is necessary to remove the poison from the body, and if not, then I will just give her first aid and monitor her condition, it seems. When I saw the blades, I picked them up. Poison, after all. There was no time to delay. I ran to the clearing, where I left Haru alone, protected by equipment. I found an earthen dome. I quickly and just as soon removed it. The girl was still unconscious, but she looked paler than usual. I searched in her bag for a first aid kit and took out the combat pills. Give Kama so that you have pills for poisons. Bingo, Sakura had these balls in her medicine cabinet. I took 2 pieces, considering that too much time had passed and I couldn't do with one. Then I washed the wound with water from my canteen and bandaged her back. I hope the pills will help. Leaving her on a mission would be super stupid. I created a clone and pumped more chakra into it so that it wouldn't dissipate quickly, or from some wound it might get along the way. Take her to the hospital as soon as possible. The copy nodded and sped off in the direction of Konoha. I hope that the girl will survive. The death of his student on the first mission, Hitaki will not endure, as well as the guys. I definitely don't need that. When I returned to the clearing where Kakashi, Sasuke and Naruto were fighting, I saw that their battle was over. Where is Zabuza? I asked, although I knew perfectly well that Haku had taken him away. Killed. It was taken by the Nota Bene from the fog. Where is Sakura Minma? Kakashi was very nervous and, not seeing the girl with me, was in mixed feelings. Surprise, fear and anger could be read in his emotions, which appeared only for a second, but as an experienced shinobi, I noticed them. Is she all right, as far as it can be? The wound is unpleasant, so it's also poison. I've done everything right, and my clone is already taking her back to Kanohi Hospital. I am sure that he will make it, and she will be fine, Kakasha. I tried to calm him down, and I succeeded. The team's Shinsei relaxed a little, and then fainted from overexertion and exhaustion of the chakra. It's okay, Kakasha, right now you need a healthy sleep, and the guys and I will take care of you. Tazuna-san, is your house far away? No, very close. Let's take him to my place and you can all rest there. I feel this mission will rattle our nerves many more times. Note to the part. So the 3rd chapter came out. It has been published for 19 pages and has many events. It will be nice to read your comments. See you soon.